and visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. I actually just recently found out what a sugar plum was, and it's not at all what I originally thought. It actually has nothing to do with plums. I believe the original sugar plums had either a cherry center or a nut center, and then they were coated with sugar and more sugar, kind of similar to a Jordan almond. And today's video is inspired by them. I absolutely love beads, especially around Christmas time. They're so festive and beautiful and just bring so much joy to every project. Today we're going to be making a simple fabric tassel, and you can use this method using fabrics or ribbons or whatever you have on hand. I'm Ingrid Carlsen, and I want to tell you how glad I am that you're here with me today. I know that with the hustle bustle of this time of year, there's a lot of things that you can be doing, and I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that you will hold my hand as we take a deep breath. We enjoy the moment. We relish in all of the thanksgiving that we have over all of the beauty around us that God has put in front of us. And slow down just a little bit. Once upon a time, I was a semi-seamstress. I have never been formally taught, and everything was self-taught and watching tutorials on YouTube. But I had a little clothing business, and it was kind of similar to my journals. They had a lot of applique and frills and ruffles, and I absolutely loved that time. These fabrics, a lot of them were collected during that time, and I've held on to them because they carry so many precious memories with them. So today I'm going to put them to good use, and we're making a fabulous, fun, and fluffy, and probably a little too big tassel for our journal. If you're not already subscribed, this is a great time to pause the video before we get started and hit that subscribe button, as well as hit the bell so you get notified anytime a new video comes out. And now that you're back, I wanted to remind you of something. You are beautiful. You are strong. You matter. And you are loved unconditionally. One of my favorite things about tassels is how easy and simple they are. You can decorate them more ornately or more plainly, depending on your style. You can add these to your purse, you can add them to a backpack, or you can add them to a journal like I'm doing here. This is actually also a great craft to do with kids. We're going to start off by cutting our fabric up in strips, and this is completely optional to you on your aesthetic. If you like more chunkier, make your fabric a little thicker here. If you want it to be a little more dainty, then you're going to make the pieces smaller. I'm going to start off by cutting them about an inch width thick, but some of them you're going to see in a little bit that I am going to cut down, and I really like the mix of the thicker fabrics with the thinner fabrics. I think that it adds a lot of character and dimension. When I'm building my tassel, I like to put different types of fabrics, some that color coordinate, some that actually add a little pop of color. And then I can always remove any excess, but I like to put all of the pieces together. I also like to have my journal next to me so that I can keep checking back to make sure that the colors all look great next to it. And as no surprise to anyone, my tassel was way too big for the size of my journal. So I had to make it go down just a little bit. But I'm still thinking about that beautiful chunky tassel. And I'm definitely going to make another thick one, maybe, and hang it somewhere in my room so I could admire it. There are so many different ways to make a tassel, so today we're just going to look at one of the ways. I'm going to grab some thread and a needle, and I'm going to go through all of my fabrics here. Now, if you want to be a perfectionist and you want to organize the fabrics in a specific order that you want them to go, by all means, have fun doing it. And if you don't and you want to let the chips fall where they may and just have it kind of surprise you at the end, then you'll do what I'm doing. I'm also going to grab some beads because as we fit our needle through all of the threads, then we're going to string them onto the beads, and that is going to be the top of our tassel. Starting at the inside of our bundle or the underneath part, we are going to take our needle and thread and run it all the way through every single piece of fabric. You're going to want to make sure that you get a nice, hard, tight knot at the bottom so that it stops the thread from going all the way through. And then as we go through the top, we're going to add our beads, which will be our crown or topper for our tassel. Once my string has reached the top, I'm going to go back through the second bead and go back down to where I originally started. And this is just going to secure the beads in place. And then the next step, I will be adding a loop so that we can attach our tassel to our journals. And this time we are taking the twine on the needle and going in through the top of the beads down into the center. And make sure that the thread doesn't go all the way through so that you can hold it so it can start making a loop. This is what you're going to need to attach it to your backpack, your purse, or in my case, my journal. Whenever I'm creating, I try not to worry about the end product. I know that's hard sometimes because when we have a vision in our heads of what we want something to look like and it doesn't, it can be a little disappointing. But today, I want to encourage you that if that happens, instead, look on the bright side. Point out a couple of things that you really like about your project. In this case, one of the things that I do worry about is securing my knots. So I go a little overboard and I do probably more knots than I need to. Is anyone else in the same boat with me? Do you extra knot your projects? I have these tiny, adorable safety pins. They're black and they're just precious. I love anything that's miniature, including these. I'm going to take them and just string it on our loop. And that's actually what's going to pierce our journal. It's just that easy. You're going to see that you can make tons of these. And I was just thinking, these would be wonderful tied on a Christmas present, don't you think? So, one thing I'm usually guilty of is filling my journals with too much ephemera and then making all my stuff extra big, which is the case with this tassel. It's a little too long for this journal, so I'm going to just clean it up a little bit by cutting off the edges. But make sure that if you do the same thing, you do not throw away those scraps. They're going to be great to use. And stay tuned because I'll have a project using those. I've told you before that I am not very good at beading, and that's kind of almost an understatement, but I'm not going to allow that to steal my joy and not allow me to add beautiful beads to my tassels. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking some of this floral wire from Dollar Tree and I'm going to attach it to the end of some of the fabric pieces. It's very boho, very cute and eclectic, and I love the jingles that it makes. Now, if you're a person that can't deal with that while you're working in your journal, then it's totally okay. Just put your tassel over to the side and attach it once you're completely finished. I want to reassure you that anything that you create with your hands is a work of art. It's absolutely beautiful. And even if you don't see the beauty in it, I guarantee you that others will. So when you are creating, don't worry about following any kind of rules. Just make something that makes your heart happy. And that means sometimes using things for different purposes than what they were originally intended. And what this does is it adds a special touch of excitement to your projects. In this case, my original vision was to sew the beads on, but then I decided to use this wire. I've always wanted to make boho beads that have wrapped wire, and this was the perfect occasion to do so. Whether or not I do it properly, it doesn't matter. What matters is the end product brings me joy. And if you're a minimalist, you definitely don't have to add any beads. But if you're a maximalist, then add as many beads as you want. You can add multiple beads to each piece of fabric even. Let your heart sing. Just add away until you are happy with the result. And you can always add more too. And you can always take away if you don't like it. So nothing is set in stone. Just play and have a good time. This is a great project to do, to just kind of unwind at the end of the day, to not to worry about those lists that are going on. They'll be there tomorrow. Not to worry about the traffic outside. This is your time to meditatively create something with your hands. I'd love to know what you would use a tassel like this for. Are you going to use it for your presents, for your purse, maybe a backpack, or your journal? And again, I want to thank you for being here as you finish watching the process video. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, it really helps my channel if you hit the like button underneath the little thumbs up. Just click it. And that way YouTube knows that maybe other people would be interested in this content as well. I honestly could not have grown this channel without you. And I want you to know how much I deeply appreciate and love you for that. And I thank you for all of your shares, your likes, your comments. They really mean the world to me, and I couldn't do it without you. And I love you. Until next time, bye.